Okay, let's talk presidential candidates. All right, so I don't know how many of you know Richard Ojeda. He's a vet, uh, and interestingly enough, he addresses an issue that I have with my brother, who is a vet as well. He served 3.5 tours, and he addresses something that my brother talks about, and that is this rah rah rah, and being unable to focus on issues, and buying into this the war on terror and all the criminal activity that it covers, and a lot of it, that criminal activity actually it goes against the American public with the policies that stem from it. Just as the war on drugs has a higher impact on the domestic American public, the war on terror is the same thing. It's something that the independent media, the indie media, covers, talks about constantly. And Richard Ojeda also covers something else. And this is something that I've been talking about, I keep enunciating, I keep talking about, is that when you are in the 1%, and when I talk about 1%, I'm not talking about this whole bullshit about, if you make $20,000-$30,000, you're part of the. No, that's not the 1% we're all talking about. No. The 1% are those that make millions of dollars and above. So if you make a couple $1 million, then you're part of the 1%. Hell, if you make $250,000 a year, you're part of the 1%. But most of the people that are talking about the 1% are those making $1 million or more. So, Richard Ojeda has a great interview on TYT. And the other thing about Richard Ojeda is that he's not only covering the stuff that I'm talking about, he's showing the vocal and emotional, because it's on all levels. It's on the level of the mind, body, and emotions. He's portraying it, and he's genuine. Absolutely genuine. There's no way you cannot listen to him and watch him and not perceive his genuine outrage. And it's not outrage for himself, it's outrage for America, for Americans. And that makes him phenomenal. He is a very much like AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But he is exactly like me. He is outraged for Americans. He is outraged for the crimes that we are perpetrating due to the criminals. Now, Richard should have been more plain spoken in that interview with TYT, and he should have said, no, I am against them because they are criminals. I am against them because they are committing crimes against Americans. Because they are committing crimes. Now, while he hasn't come out and bluntly put it out the way I would, and calling the corporate Democrats and the corporate Republicans criminals, criminals who are disseminating hatred, who are disseminating depression, who are committing domestic crimes, which I would call and label as terrorism, as organized crime. He's not coming out and baldly saying it, but I am, and I have been. The media propaganda machine is a criminal organization because they do exactly. And that's because they are owned by the criminals. So, I am endorsing Richard Ojeda. Could I figure out a way to get into office? Because I cannot get into office as a president. But if I can get into office, that is exactly what I would do. I would call them out. And I would come out vociferously. I would come out aggressively. And I will not apologize for calling them what they are. They are criminals. They are endangering the lives of Americans. And they have killed Americans, both domestically and internationally. And they have killed other people in countries, other nationals. They have killed them with their policies. They are murderers. They are thieves. They are con men and con women. And they are not human. Because in my book, being a human means that we look out for the best interests of our human community and by extension, our world, our planet. And they are the capital criminals, and they are worthy of capital crimes. And they are worthy of punishment by those capital crimes they commit. I do not apologize for these standards because it is the right standard. It is the moral standards. It is the ethical standards. It is the principle standards. I despise them. I hate them. I hate them with a passion because I know I am right, because I am righteous, because I stand for the greater community, because I want a future for us. It is time. Trump is a prime example of why we need Ojeda. Because Ojeda is talking about the crimes being committed, about the theft, about everything. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is talking. Ro Khanna is talking. Bernie Sanders is talking these. And while Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ro Khanna, and Bernie Sanders is not labeling it with the dramatic words I use, Richard Ojeda is coming closer to how I label and how I point and how I am not accusing, but stating the obvious. And the obvious is that they are the enemy of the people. I call the media the enemy of the people. Richard Ojeda, on that TYT interview, calls the corporate Democrats and the corporate Republicans enemy of the people. He is insinuating the same thing for the media. And I don't insinuate anything. I am calling them, stating that they are, in fact, criminals. I am stating, in fact, that the 1% who hold positions as shareholders, as the owners of corporations, owners of the media, owners of the government, criminals. I call them criminals. I call the FBI criminals. I call our law enforcement the criminals. I call the CIA the criminals. I call the the NSA the criminals. I call Homeland Security criminals. I call ICE criminals. And when I call about the criminality of these, I am talking about the upper echelons that hold these positions. I call the Supreme Court criminals. I call federal and state judicial systems criminals because they are criminals. Because they uphold the criminal system that have the pseudo legitimacy. And I call us criminally negligent for not being vocal and not being forceful. We are criminally negligent. I am criminally negligent if I do not point this out, if I do not voice this. Voicing is one thing, and I need to put it in action. And while posting videos may be a small, minor thing and doesn't really have a great impact, I should be out there. I put some effort to get into seat of the to run for governor of Pennsylvania, but I didn't do it. I didn't put out the true effort that I should have. And that's my fault. Because I let my despondency, my despair, stop me from knowing and doing what I should be doing. I do not place the value of my own life above the value of the greater community. And that is because I should be the hero that I espouse. I should be the patriot that I espouse. I should espouse my own principles, the principles we commonly share. No, we should be the hero. We should be the patriot. And we should be the activist in our own lives. Because, by extension, we are then being activists for our community, for our home, the planet Earth. Thank you for your time.